Welcome to evening meditation. More than halfway through August now. I'm not sure there's any particular date or season that's applicable today, but midway through August. And still on the idea of transformation, but taking this a little bit broader. We've used a phrase before from Richard Rohr: transformation of pain and anger is the supreme work of all true spirituality and spiritual communities. These communities offer us a place where our sadness can be refined into human sympathy and active compassion. And taking that more widely, I think, to our wider growth or development or spiritual formation is a phrase that's sometimes used, involving a shift from judgment, competition and aggression to the rule of an open heart. Because if we look at the Gospels deeply, surely there's a movement here out of narcissism and paranoia to a more mature, self-possessed life of deep community. And so in this moment that we've given aside, these moments we consciously and intentionally bring our focus to bear on where we are. Our intention to use this 30 minutes or so for our own development, our own growth, our own formation. We are just where we're sitting, noticing points of contact, noticing where our arms rest comfortably. Lowering our gaze or closing our eyes if that helps us, or looking at the images on the screen, and I'll answer the quiz questions of where they are at the end. And we take our welcome, intentional deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Bringing the focus, bringing the attention to the breath. Noticing that as we breathe more deeply, we feel that we're slowing down. Feeling the air as it comes in, feeling the lungs expand, noticing the belly rise. And then holding it in that position with the lungs expanded, the belly's risen as the diaphragm's pushed down. Holding it there, letting it go, and counting for 2 after the in-breath and again after the out-breath. Noticing any other sensations in addition to the physical movement of the torso. I particularly notice the sound of the air. The sound that is made by that breath coming in and as you're listening for the sound of the breath, maybe just notice if there are any other sounds where you are. Maybe traffic, maybe a clock. Or maybe there really is silence, and if so, you can listen to the silence. I was struck this week by something I heard, something I read about transformation, but it was couched as the phrase undergoing inner change for outer work. And this is a lady who'd been a psychotherapist, has been a Quaker for many years, and is now doing research to help climate change activists develop their inner resources to enable them to continue with their external activism. And having researched widely, she identifies skills and capabilities that we need, that anybody needs, to develop these inner resources. In other words, to develop ourselves. First of all, being, the relationship to yourself, your own self-awareness. Then there's thinking, able to think clearly, critically, to have an awareness of complexity. How I wish some of our politicians had that. Thirdly, empathy and appreciation of others. Fourthly, collaboration, because we're not going to achieve any of our goals without collaborating with others. And then finally, courage and perseverance to continue with activism. And I was struck by the parallels with another Christian psychotherapist who says that through the Gospels, Jesus models a path for a transformative way of life. The Gospels do not focus on a plan for spiritual self-improvement and a virtuous personality. Rather, they are a restructuring of the human imagination about how we can be in relation to each other and to the world. They offer a new way of imagining the human worldwide community. That movement out of narcissism and paranoia to a more mature, self-possessed life of deep community. So I invite you to listen again slowly to those words about our inner development goals, if you like. Your own self-awareness. What do you recognize in yourself? Which of the passions that we've rehearsed several times can sometimes take control of you? But in recognizing anything, be non-judgmental. Empathy and appreciation of others. How can you be a healer? Healing mentioned 47 times in the New Testament. Collaboration, not doing things on our own. Courage and perseverance for activism. Maybe we might offer up one or more of those areas and determine to pay them further attention in the days ahead. The lady who did this, is doing this research, then has gone on to look at how contemplative practices can develop these skills. And she's borrowing from the ancient practice of Lectio Divina, divine reading, where one takes a passage, and the stages are to read, maybe to read 2 or 3 times, to reflect, to respond, and then to rest with what word or phrase one has come to. And she's going to use a variation which, rather than reading a passage, one goes out into nature. She's calling it Natura Divina. And that's why I've put some pictures from the natural world on the screen. Reading from the natural world. Reading what you see, what you hear, what you experience within your body. To reflect on wisdom coming from nature, the learning coming from nature. she talked about the resilience of weeds that constantly come up, no matter how many times we pull them out. And so, first of all, reading, then reflecting and responding by selecting a phrase. So she selected perseverance. And then to rest with the whole idea of it. The legend of Robert the Bruce and the spider, after he'd narrowly escaped from the English and was hiding allegedly in a cave and watching a spider trying to weave a web, but failing even to create a single thread, falling and trying again and again until finally the thread held and the web could be spun. And the idea of perseverance emerging from that could have been an early example of this Natura Divina. To read, to reflect, to respond, and then to rest with it. And she says that through this practice, and through her own Quaker practice, she can see that she is more empathetic, more tolerant, more compassionate, less judgmental, less reactive. And so we'll go to our silence, and you can use it as always to simply practice the breathing, to notice your thoughts, or you might, for a change, like to intentionally, deliberately use the images on the screen. To look, to wait, and then to feel any word or phrase or thought that comes to you through these images of nature, and then to rest with them. We'll go with music from Salt of the Sound, as we often do. You take the broken and find the beauty in all things. You restore in places hidden far below. Made from ash to dust we go, revealing in us so that we may know you restore all things.
Take the broken and find the beauty in all things. You restore in places hidden far below. Made from ash to dust we go.
So gently coming out of our silence, our contemplation, images on the screen from the left, the River Hodder, top right Morecambe Bay from Morecambe Pier, and bottom right Pendle Hill from the Noggarth Tea Room Garden. And some closing words from Graham Kendrick. Soften my heart, Lord, soften my heart. From all indifference, set me apart, to feel your compassion, to weep with your tears. Come, soften my heart, O Lord, soften my heart.